Okay, so today we're looking at the remainder theorem and factor theorem for helping to divide a polynomial by a binomial. So if you look at this polynomial that we start with, this 3x cubed minus 4x plus 2x minus 8, and we want to divide it by x minus 2, that binomial, we did this a couple chapters ago. It's called polynomial long division. And when we see and we look at this example, we see that we have this big long polynomial. We divided it by x minus 2, and we ended up getting 3x plus 2x plus 6 with a remainder of 4. So that tells me that x minus 2 is not a factor of this polynomial because it had a remainder. Just as if we took 15 and divided it by 7, 7 is not a factor of 15. It goes into 15 two times with a remainder of 1. So 7 is not a factor of 15, just like x minus 2 is not a factor of this polynomial because we have this remainder. So some brilliant person decided to find out, how can we check this out before we go through this big old long division process? Well, they realized that in order for the number, the binomial that we're trying out, to be a factor, if we put that number in, like the positive 2 here, remember this factor is x minus h, so the h is a positive 2. Well, if we take that 2 and figure out what p of 2 is, and we put 2 in for each x, and then do the math from the polynomial here, p of x, we put a 2 in for the x here and cube it, 2 in for the x there, square it, 2 in there, minus 8, there it is right there. We do all the math, we can actually find out what that remainder is going to be without doing all the long division. So instead of having to do all this long division and find out that my remainder is 4, I can just take the number that I'm considering, put it in here, and find out what the remainder is. If the remainder is not 0, then this number and that factor is not a factor of this polynomial. So that's what we're going to be looking at here. We're going to be trying out factors of the constant. We take factors of the 8, or whatever the constant is at the end of our polynomial. We put one of those factors into the polynomial in place of the x, do the math, and find out what the remainder is. If the remainder is 0, it is a factor. If it's not 0, it is not a factor.